What's up? This is Rebel Radio.
What up? What up? This is DJ Newmark.
This is Peanut Butter Wolf.
It's your boy. It's okay.
Keep checking out Rebel Radio.
Rebel Radio.
This is Rebel Radio.
We're in the place right here. Rebel Radio is going down.
Would you say Rebel Radio?
Oh, wait. Let's do it again.
Rebel Radio.
What's up, Rebels? Welcome back to Rebel Radio, the weekly show where I talk to the rebels who are shaping youth culture. We find out how they do it, why they do it, and what you can do to get a little piece of the pie for yourself. We're also the only show to bring you new music every week from our friends over at EDM.com. My name is Josh Levine. I'm your host, and my guest in studio with me today is the one and only Chace Infinite. Chace is a multi-talented, multifaceted player in music and culture and now coffee. He was a rapper with the group Self-Scientific. He's been a manager for many years, working with A$AP Rocky and the A$AP Mob. He's been involved with fashion brands, and his latest project is Harun Coffee in Leimert Park, and he's got some great stories to tell about his travels through the music industry, starting as a young man. I love his approach. He got into the industry side because he wanted to learn the business to benefit his artist career. And he talks about some of the twists and turns that his career and life has taken him. Some great lessons about being adaptable and at the same time never giving up. Coming up on Rebel Radio after the EDM.com track of the week.
Try to tell a nigga I'm the wrong nigga you should fuck with today. Walk into the club and all the bottle bitches start to whisper hooray. See me in the kitchen, cook it up, watch it rise like a souffle.
Yo, that was Born Eye Music and Sloth Syndrome with Hooray, the EDM.com track of the week. If you like that one, get over to EDM.com, check out more new music, and let's get into the interview with Chace Infinite.
Thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate you making time. It's, I've followed your career forever and seen some of the twists and turns, and, you always... I love having people on the show that are not just one thing. They're entrepreneurs and artists, and you're like the embodiment of that. You're kind of
right before it was actually celebrated. I mean, right. I got a lot of flack for that, but yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about that.
Shit, yeah, not flack, but confusion maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I love, and I want to get into it, but I love that you've been an artist. You've been on the business side.
Yeah.
Now you have a new venture with Harun Coffee.
Yes, sir.
Am I saying it right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You are Harun Coffee.
Okay. Which I know is not only a business, but there's a community and a mission to it.
For sure.
It's all the things that we celebrate.
For sure.
So
it's all the shit that hip hop actually is.
Right.
Without the elements that try to sell it.
For sure.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. So you're living it. So let's get into all that. I want to start at the beginning though.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first record you ever bought?
The first record I ever bought, purchased with my own money.
Yeah.
It may have been Run DMC, the 12-inch that had 30 Days on the B-side.
Uh-huh.
What was on the A-side of that? And wake me up in 30 days.
Yep. The only Run DMC 12-inch.
Whatever 12-inch had 30 days on there is 12-inch, and it's the same day. And this might have been from a record trader, I think, because I was born at Daniel Freeman Hospital in Inglewood, but my parents moved to the Valley. And I think we was maybe living in either Panorama City or Reseda at the time, and I bought this shit from Record Trader.
Yeah.
And it was 30 Days, and it was some Connecticut, like some breakdancing twins. I forget their fucking name, like one of them obscure 12 inches that happened to make it to like, I forget the name, but I was already in
But you already...
I bought 3. I was already into hip hop.
Yeah.
I had already, began to like really love hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it might have been Tila Rock and Mantronics.
Okay.
Like that, shit like that. Tila Rock, Mantronics, Run DMC, this obscure breakdancing. I always remember them because I don't remember their name, but I remember the cover.
Sure. There was a lot of those.
Yeah, shit like that. That's kind of what it was before people were actually promoted. It was just about discovery. Like I remember we used to buy records and shit, and you didn't even know somebody was popular until You didn't know whether or not they was popular until you heard somebody else talk about it. It was like, wait, what, yo, what? Did you say Run DMC? Like, oh shit, you know about this shit too? Maybe not Run DMC because they were so big, but everybody else, it was like a process of discovery. And that's how people that's how you formed, like, I guess, the archetypes or what type of motherfucker you was in hip hop. According to who you gravitated towards. So I think that's probably the first record. If I can remember correctly, it's some of the first records I bought, but I was always buying records. Yeah. Always buying really tapes, maxi singles, sure, of course, shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny, you know, you had to go seek it out.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And, you know, like you said, especially with hip hop because it wasn't on the radio.
They didn't even know how to categorize it in the record stores.
Right.
That shit used to be, I remember it was like rock, pop, and soul. And like you're saying, they used to have like hip hop strangely categorized somewhere in the soul and pop, but like, you know what I mean? It was like, the Warehouse was the first retail company, probably the Warehouse and Tower to really start to develop like their own sections for the Warehouse. Father Brown led that a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like really sectioning that shit out. But before then, like it was just like, you really had to find this shit. Like Dougie Fresh was in the R&B shit somewhere. Like it wasn't no hip hop section.
They didn't know, you know, they didn't know what to make of it. I remember it must have been 90.
They didn't know what to make of it. And then musically, hip hop borrows from every genre.
Right.
So it has no particular point of origin. So then you're in the middle of like a synthetic overhaul, right? R&B and all that shit was going, synthesizers, all this shit was like really becoming a thing.
Yeah.
And I remember when that was a problem, you know, groups like Climax, Atlantic Star and shit like that, doing real synthesized R&B, like the traditional R&B singers was like, what the fuck is this shit? They not even playing instruments. Like it's electronic. Like, so hip hop was kind of even one step past that. They, you know, we kind of had to figure a way in. It was like, you know, that's why I think like early records like Curtis Blow, you know, World Class Wrecking Crew out here on the West Side. A lot of them are very R&B slanted, only because
or disco.
It was or disco because we first of all musically hip hop borrowed from those genres or movements, but then there was nowhere to be categorically. You couldn't put this shit nowhere. It was like you was in the record store underneath Howard Hewitt and Shalimar and like, oh, Dougie Fresh, like you know what I'm saying, Curtis Blow and
so I was
Climax.
I was on the Grammy selection committee. This must have been like 92.
Yeah.
For the rap category.
Yeah.
And you remember Jerry Davis?
For sure, man.
So he had invited me to that.
Groove.
Yeah, that's right. So he invited me to this thing, and I go to the Grammy, you know, the luncheon, and you break out and have to, and the whole job, I didn't understand until I got there. The whole job was to decide what fits into the category. So we weren't choosing the nominations.
You're like, what
we're
is
defining
this
what could even be nominated in that category. And
I remember those years.
And so we had these discussions about like, well, this one has too much singing. Yeah, there's a rapper, but it's really not a rap song. It's an R&B song, or this, you know, all this stuff.
To this day, in terms of like the institution of music, they still have a hard time determining what that is.
For sure.
You know, just
and part of it is like, you know, you could probably say that about other things too. I think hip hop probably more so because, like you said, it borrows from other genres. But you know, the whole issue of genre, like, it keeps changing, right? That's the nature of it, especially when you think of pop, which is basically like
popular.
Pop is just like
pop
what
has
everybody
never changed
likes.
though. That's what I always try to explain to people.
Yeah.
The definition is pop. Pop has never changed. The thing that changed our perception of it, and when I say our, people who grew up, who adhered probably more to the nuances of black music more than anything else, like that definition changed for us once Michael Jackson made Thriller. Right. Like once he made Thriller, you know, then the term crossover and what's deemed as pop or rock or soul, R&B, whatever, funk, whatever. Now this is now viable for a commercial audience, or has a commercial audience, because Michael Jackson incorporated all these elements and became the ultimate popular version of that. So that's when it kind of changed for all of us. But prior to that, like I've never been confused on that, because I've been not I can't say never, but I'm probably less confused because I've always been like an employee or an executive in the music industry and an artist at the same time. So categorically, as an artist, I don't think trying to make my music in a particular way.
Sure.
But then I understand that it needs to be categorized in some way because business is mechanical and you gotta you gotta put this shit in the store, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? You gotta put this on a radio format, some shit like that. So you have to be able to do, even if you put this shit on iTunes, the first thing they say is, hey man, send me the WAV files and send me a description.
Right.
They want you to describe this shit still, even when it's completely.
Well, and it makes sense. I mean, you hear artists complain about, like, I don't want to be lumped into this category or that one. But,
And I hear that, but at some point you don't have to lump it as an artist. That's good. Right. You shouldn't create from perspective.
Sure.
But when Josh and Chace got to sell the motherfucker, like we have to be able to say when we go to iTunes and say, hey man, I need advertising for June 29th for Josh Levine's album. Okay. Yeah. What is it? He like, he raps, he sings, he's so and so. At least we got to know, we have to be able to navigate them where your audience might be. Now, you might have, like a person like Drake is a perfect example of that, right? Somebody who has equal amount of R&B fans as he might have, or whatever. He's just a popular artist, so it really doesn't matter. So maybe that's a bad example, but you know what I mean? Because Drake is such
a great example, right? Like,
but what I'm saying is he's so well liked by he's so widely liked that it's hard to make that example where it's not like he has more R&B fans or less hip hop fans.
Well, Drake's gonna be at the front of the store no matter.
He's gonna be. That's what I'm saying. Bad example. He's gonna be at the front of the store. No matter fucking what. But if somebody like, that's probably less known than him that has the same dilemma in terms of like, does equal amount of both for his experience as an artist. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how'd you get started making music?
Wow. How'd I get started?
You said you were 15 when you started rapping?
No, I was 11.
Oh, wow.
I think I wrote my first rap. Whatever year was 85, whatever year Michael Jordan was in the motherfucking Olympics, I wrote it about like that whole shit. So I was already in the sneakers and Michael Jordan took over my life already. But at the same time, hip hop was the biggest shit in the world. I think I started writing raps about when I was 11. And then I started making music, messing around with like, the 4-track and all that shit, probably when I was like 12, 13. The homie Dave. I used to really fuck with him and make music. And me and DJ Khalil met at Superstar Camp in Santa Barbara. Superstar Camp was a basketball camp for like young, I think it was in 8th grade. Yeah, so it was like, between the ages of like, I guess 13 and 17. Okay. It was a camp for kids that were really good in AAU basketball. Khalil is the son of Walt Hazzard, rest in peace, who was the former head coach for UCLA and former NBA player with the Lakers and all types of people. So Khalil was born to a basketball family. I've been playing basketball since I was 9 years old, year round. We both were, probably pretty good for our age. Went to Superstar Camp, met there, and that's where So Scientific kind of started. I was already writing raps and really into hip hop and trying to make clothes and shit like that already. But Khalil was the first person I knew that had an academic perspective when it came to this shit. Like Khalil made this shit seem like way more than music. Like when we met one another, like he was, and we shared our fanaticism for hip hop. Like we both were like huge gang. I remember I was, because we stayed at the Superstar basketball camp and it was like these fucking dorms. And when I remember walking down the hall and then hearing Mr. Nice Guy, Gangstar, coming, I was like, I thought I was the only motherfucker in all of the West Coast that even knew who Keith E.E. was. I was like, not many people listen to,
Not at that point.
It wasn't a lot of people that even listen to Wild Pitch shit, period. Like just in general. I love Wild Pitch as a label, I always had, because Ultramagnetic was one of my favorite fucking groups. So anything they put out, I always was like, what's popping on? Because I expected it to sound like Ultramag.
Sure.
I heard Gangstar coming, I was like, I remember walking down the hall and doing like this, like, who the fuck is this? Khalil had the flat top and shit. I was like, okay, we obviously in the same shit. So It's funny, the dude, Doug Gottlieb from ESPN and all that shit, he was in our camp and all that
really?
shit. Yeah.
That's funny.
All that shit. So me and Khalil was in the same fucking camp, and we became like good friends. We found out that our parents had known each other, you know, been involved in a movement, lived in Muhammad Ali's building together. They knew each other and all types of shit. And we was like, oh man. We just became best friends, and that's what probably developed my, like, I was already a fan of this shit. Like, I like how it looked, how it felt doing this shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I like dancing and being that shit was shit to me. But when I met Khalil, like, it formed like a whole nother, like an academic perspective on this shit to where I probably became like, I don't know, like a fucking some type of strange researcher or some shit like that. It's just a whole nother, I think that's why Self-Scientific was the name of our group, just because it's very cerebral. Yeah. Our approach.
Well, it's interesting. I know you know, we're going to talk about, I know you've crossed into other generations of rappers and artists, but at that time, and so I'm curious how much you see of that in the younger generations, but at that time there was this thing of like, you know, you walk in a room or you're in camp or you're in school or whatever, and not everybody was into hip hop. Most people didn't know about it, right? And so you would find that person, whether it was the shoes they were wearing or a chain or a haircut or something, right?
Let you know, like, did he tuck his shoe? Did he tuck his pants behind the tongue?
Right.
Like, oh, he might, okay. What you listening to? Like, the Walkman, you see the Walkman. If the dude always had his Walkman, you're like, oh, okay. I know what he's listening to. He's not listening to heavy metal in them motherfuckers.
Exactly.
Most likely.
I remember we went to the Fresh Fest.
Yeah.
In
86. 85, 86.
85.
Yeah. Long Beach?
Oakland Coliseum.
Oh.
I grew up.
Okay, but they had that Long Beach out here. I remember that shit. That shit was crazy.
And what hit me, you know, was like...
Jermaine Dupri's father used to do them shits.
Is that right?
Michael Malden.
Oh, shit.
Fresh Fest.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So what hit me, you know, we had our crew that was... Hip-hop wasn't rare at my school, but not everybody, like you said, it was a little, you know...
Yeah.
But then you walk into this place and it was like that group from every school in the Bay.
You was like, what in the
there.
fuck?
And you're like, it's a whole world. Like,
yeah, I remember them days, man. Like,
it just at that moment it hit me how big it was, you know, even locally.
I remember me too, man. I remember the first time I smelled Sherm, man, was like, I went my brother Travis to the sports arena. I think it was Fresh Fest 80, because I went 2 years in a row. I went 85 and 86. And 85, it was at the sports arena. They had UTFO. I remember that because
Fat Boys,
Flow, and the Skinny Boys, the motherfuckers that used to wear the Coca-Cola shirts. They was there. I'm trying to remember all this shit. Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5.
Okay, that might have been 86. I'm not sure.
85, bro. I mean, the first year.
Might have been.
And I think, was it?
It was a long time ago. I got the t-shirt somewhere.
What year did LL come out?
That was, I think he came out in 85. James can be our fact checker.
I want to say LL Cool J, if I remember this correctly, and keep in mind, I'm young as fuck, and I did smell Sherm for the, like you know, not Sherm, it was Cocoa Puffs, like, you know, niggas would put Coke in the cigarette. I remember asking my brother, like, what the fuck is that smell? It just smelled like burning chemicals. I used to be like, well, he's like, come on, shut your ass up.
I remember that smell.
But it was we was at the sports arena, and I think it was 85 because LL Cool J was the headliner.
Okay.
And this nigga came out with it was a tape deck.
Oh, yeah.
He came out the tape deck from radio. I couldn't, it was over for me.
That was crazy.
It was the illest shit in the world. The first concert I ever been to was Parliament Funkadelic.
Oh,
I think with my brother Travis. My brother Travis is 14 years older than me, so he's like a second father. And I think he took me to Parliament Funkadelic at the sports arena when I was like 9. And then I went to Fresh Fest. Sports arena and Fresh Fest in Long Beach. And Fresh Fest in Long Beach, they had like a full out. That's the first time I seen an all out jail style brawl between multiple hoods.
Wow.
It was crazy. Yeah. I remember being scared as shit. For a year before, I was like, it's the greatest shit ever. The next year, I was like, oh, this is the worst shit ever. You can get killed out here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going to the Fresh Fest. That was the best shit ever. I'm sorry, I got off track.
No, that's great, man. Those are good memories.
Man, I remember that shit.
It's funny, you just reminded me, I don't know if you remember Reggie Dennis from The Source.
Yeah.
That's the homie. And he told me, he said this to me years ago,
Reggie.
And I thought it was funny, but it makes more sense now. He was like, what did he say? He said, hip hop, basically hip hop stopped being cool when you didn't have to worry about getting beaten up at a show anymore.
Wow.
And there's like a lot wrong with that statement and a lot true of it. It's like, it's an interesting perspective, I thought.
Yeah.
But, to your point, like, we used to go to those shows and, one night.
Not know what's going on.
You don't know what's going to happen. Right?
Yeah, exactly. But that was the excitement of it, I can honestly say as a grown man, I don't miss that. But
exactly.
That was a part that made you like.
But when you were 14 or whatever, like.
It was the shit.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
You're not going to forget it.
Ever.
That's right.
And they're still talking about all those same guys. Like, it still hasn't been anybody iller on the street than all them motherfuckers. All them same dudes, if they're not dead or in jail, they're still talking about them same dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys start doing your thing. At what point were you thinking that was your career, or at what point did that happen?
Never, probably, right? And that's what started me working in the music industry.
Yeah.
So Khalil's mom, Chalisa, who was like a second mom to me, she was the head of a program called Yes to Jobs, Youth Entertainment Summers that was started by Al Cafaro and Jerry Moss, the A&M and A&M Records. So we had youth, it was a youth program. If you had a 3.0 grade point average, and if you were 14 to 18, they gave you summer paid internships.
Nice.
So for me, it was an opportunity to get free tickets and get to fucking shows and get all, back then we had promo copies. So I'd have your album 3 weeks before street date, and I'm the fucking man at school. Everybody's huddling around me trying to hear the new fucking Tribe Called Quest album or whatever it is. So that shit was amazing. And I got paid.
Yeah.
I got paid. I got to know people in the music industry, and I was close to something I was already in love with. So I did that every summer that I could.
Oh, cool.
Until I went to college in Atlanta. Me and Khalil both went to college in Atlanta. And, that's where we really started putting out records with Self Scientific.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize, like, me and Khalil didn't put out records in high school and all that shit. Like, we were, like, out of college. Like, you know what I'm saying, 96, 99. Our first album came out in 99.
Wow.
We left school in 96.
Yeah.
So.
Is there something that's a long time from when you started making music together to actually putting out a record.
Yeah.
Is that a good idea to wait that long and develop?
It's a good idea. I would say so. I'm the wrong person to ask. I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm closer to the creativity than I am the business. I always have been.
Okay.
Even though I've been mildly successful doing both.
Maybe more than mildly.
Mildly in comparison. We in Mike Karen's building right now. We all know Mike, motherfucker, mildly. But you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
I've been, mildly successful at this shit, so I think I've always been closer to the music, though.
Right.
I care way more about the music than I do about the business. Like, I love making money, but, so I don't know.
Yeah, but even that, like, is that necessarily a bad thing?
No, it's not a bad thing, but I'm just saying I'm the wrong person to ask, though. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if my assessment is always going to be closer to that. Take your time to develop the music. Fuck what anybody says, right? But then I also understand if you don't have the luxury of time, you might need to put the product out. And we have context because we remember the time before the internet. So it's easy for us to go, oh shit. You'll know how it might appeal to somebody like me, like Mike, like right away without having to translate it.
Right.
It's the nuances that you can't translate, and that comes from experiences. And the thing that we do forget sometimes, once you start actually like, Rocky had fucking problems. I was like, oh, it's on. We about to do this all the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? You forget that that's not guaranteed, or that, there's no map that navigates that particular. You can't put the nuances together and create that again.
Right.
You can't. You know what I'm saying? Mike Karen can't do it. Clive Davis couldn't do it. Fucking Erman Erdogan couldn't do it. Like, nobody can do that shit over and over and over and over and over again. Like, and that's why when people like a Drake come along, you're like, what in the fuck? Like, how does this shit happen? What type of magic does this nigga have? Because it's over and over again. It's not supposed to really happen that way.
Right.
Right? I tell people all the time, music is ordained by the creator. And I believe in God. So the music is ordained by the creator. And the ability to do so much that Lucifer was cast out of the heavens because of his arrogance in regards to him. He was a musician. Like, you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So this is ordained by God. We have the power to bring people together through this thing and, you know, translate messages and destroy the fucking fabric of the universe too, if you let it. Business is mechanical and it's man-made, and it's something that we have to study and perfect and learn by process of trial and error. And at its core, it's, you know, we're exploiting artists for monetary gain. Mm-hmm. Business in the music industry is low-level, high-level manipulation. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. We won't say this shit all the time, but that's what it is. Right. Once you learn how to manipulate the nuances of other industries, whether it be press or social media, whatever, it actually helps the music. And that's what people like myself, you, Mike, Karen, we all get paid to do. Yeah. We know because we know these things. So yeah, it's good to me to take your time, you know, with the music. You know, you might want to calculate your business and how you're going to enter the marketplace with a little bit more rapidity, because, you know, it's a lot of competition out there and the landscape is moving, but you know, it behooves you to take your time and craft the music so that regardless of the landscape, the plan, you know, can work itself.
So you might disagree with me on this because you're a creator, but I feel like the reason why, I mean, I agree with you that we're in the manipulation business, right? Well, and I think part of the reason for that is because there's really no such thing as good music. Mm. There's what you like, there's what I like. There's definitely, you know, what most people, you know, there's Drake, right? Who a lot of people like compared to some artists that a few people like. I would kind of argue that doesn't make Drake better than someone who's less popular.
You have to give me an example. You can't say someone who's less popular. If we're gonna argue the point, you gotta put, you know what I mean? You gotta put somebody with equal talent that's not as known as Drake on the block here. And I'm waiting for you to find that person. I
can't draw that exact clarification.
Okay, so we can't make that comparison.
But here's what I'm gonna say, is like, okay, let's go back to Gangstar.
Okay.
Right, so Gangstar did its thing around the same time Hammer was doing his thing.
Okay.
Right? By some definition, Hammer's a better artist. He was more popular, he made more money, etc.
I dare say, Josh, and I've been doing this the same time as you, I dare say I have never in my entire life, even in the back alleys of Oakland, California, my brother, have I ever heard a motherfucker say, MC Hammer is the better artist.
Well, that's kind of why.
Fucking Gangstar. I've heard them say MC Hammer deserves credit. MC Hammer was the man. MC Hammer did a lot for Oakland. MC Hammer's a real nigga. I done heard a lot of shit. I ain't never heard a motherfucker say.
Well, I think
ever nowhere.
So I think that's
Hammer
my
wouldn't
point.
say that. Hammer would be like, you bugging.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Hammer would say, he'd be like, you serious? DJ Premier?
But I think that's kind of
Chris
my point,
Martin
right?
And
is
Keith
that,
Elam? Fuck out of here.
If you're just judging by popularity, if you're equating quality and popularity, you're going to be wrong, or you're going to.
I would agree with that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
In this day and age, I mean, and I think the criteria you have to define what good is. That's it.
Absolutely.
That's it.
But you know,
and good is that's relative. Yeah. You know, that's your perspective. You know what I'm saying? That's what you know. Some people.
Absolutely.
Like there's this kid named John Ross. You know, what's the name's son from Delicious Vinyl?
Yeah.
So John, cool as fuck. John's like a fucking a surrogate son to like, you know, I shouldn't even say that. That's the little homie. So I always fuck with him though because he is the biggest fucking Chief Keef fan you've ever heard in your life. Okay. You can't bring up no music. If you bring up, we're sitting here and you bring up music, he's going to make the whole conversation about how influential Chief Keef is on the genre. I don't give a fuck if I say, hey man, that horn in that song is amazing. It's not better than Chief Keef on Sosa. So it's just like, I think he does at this point just to fuck with me.
Oh, sure.
And I do it just to fuck with him. But my point is, it's so like, you can't, and Chief Keef is a brilliant artist, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, musically, you can't, people have their own influence. But to him, that's the best shit ever invented.
Right.
Period. I don't give a fuck about Kanye, Gangsta, all that shit.
Right.
Chief Keef Sosa. And if it wasn't for him, you could say, what about Kanye? He'll be like, don't like, Kanye remade Don't Like. La, 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 like Chief Keef Sosa. He got an answer for everything. There's people like that for everybody. So my point is, you can't, I don't necessarily have a definition of what good, for me, there's all types of music, right? And when you say bad and there's good, you have to separate music from it. Right? Good is a general vibration. You're gonna, you're gonna promote, it's gonna induce feelings of excitement, joy, and make you contemplate about the emotions that actually make you feel generally good, right? Bad, there's music that's crafted to make you feel bad. When people say it's emo and people say there's music that's crafted to make you tune into the emotions that are not extremely bad. So that's how I try to define it. Like, I hear some shit that's extremely minimal and motherfuckers slurring that I think is great. You know what I mean?
Right.
I hear some shit with somebody with math rocking and shit changes every 4 fucking bars and shit. I'm like, oh, that shit's horrible. But
But it's great for somebody.
Right. It's great for somebody, so.
Well, so that's kind of my point, right? And that's I think the role that the marketing and the business plays, right? Is that
100%.
So much of what we like has to do with where we heard it, how we learned about it the first time, how often we've heard it.
That's the manipulation.
That's right. Absolutely. So, but my point is that's important.
Right.
Right. And, manipulation might sound negative, but I think that's important because some of our favorite music, we wouldn't have liked it if we hadn't been manipulated.
That's what the music business is, man. That's what makes it so evil at times. It's manipulation and exploitation for monetary exchange. Well, my lips are looking dry as fuck over there. Oh, shit. It's for monetary exchange, brother. That's exactly what it is. Manipulation and exploitation.
So, okay, so you were doing both at the same time. So you're making music, you're also working on the business side. Was that always the plan? Was there points when you were gonna like drop one or the other?
And it wasn't always a plan. I got into the music industry because I didn't want to get fucked as an artist. We always used to hear about people signing these record label deals and kind of fucked up positions. So we started working in the music industry to kind of learn more about it. And I started making money and I realized then, I was like, wow, this is an actual career. You can do this shit and still smoke weed. Kind of how that happened. So simultaneously we were doing it, but I kind of used to hide the fact that we were artists because I didn't want people to judge me thinking, I didn't want people to think that I wasn't valuable in a conference room because I was trying to get a deal at the same time. Like, anyway, you know what I mean? That's why people like Puffy, you thank God for people like Puffy because he did everything. So then you always had an example to point to, like, man, what the fuck? I'm putting out an album Tuesday and I'm coming to the goddamn marketing meeting Tuesday as well. Why not? Puffy does it.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I think, it struck me when I started out interning at Motown and, I knew nothing about the music industry. Right. I went for the free records. And I'm like, oh, they got that Motown catalog. I'm there.
I need all that.
Yeah. But one of the first things I learned was how much, what's the word? Like, disrespect sounds a little bit strong, but how much people just thought so little of the artists.
Oh, yeah. No, disrespect is the right word.
Yeah.
That's not harsh.
But I mean, some of it was very subtle. It wasn't like...
I mean, it's not the individuals, it's the...
Yeah, it was the climate.
It's the climate.
For sure.
It's just, it is what it is, bro.
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah.
The artists, my father used to always tell me, my father was in the entertainment industry and came from a time where as a black artist, you really didn't make any money unless you played for the mafia. And it's just the truth. And he told me all the time that the mafia set up the music industry, the pay structure, and that the artist always gets paid last. Yeah. It's just the structure of the music industry. Everybody gets paid before the artist. That's it. in terms of the payment. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Always. That's why it's funny you said Motown Records. You know, I was blessed. Like, my father worked in the music industry, and then he was always an entrepreneur. So he tried to educate me. And like, when he saw that I was trying to really get into the music industry, and he had friends, you know, my mother had friends with, you know, people like Dick Griffey. Yeah. Motherfucking, I'm just trying to think of all these old black executives. They used to always be in my house. And, you know, my father was was heavily involved with chicken and waffles.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day. So all these people that are always around my house that were black executives early in the music industry, I should just always hear all these stories. And this is like, you know, we celebrate people now for owning their masters and shit like that, but these have been conversations since then. Yeah. And I remember Clarence Avant and like his son Alex. And yeah, like, you know, them is like, those brothers are like, you know, those are the examples, you know, the people that when you think about, particularly as a young black executive, like trajectory and like what you're trying to do in this shit, you know, those are one of very few examples that we have. Some of those people at Motown. Motown is an institution still to this day. But Ethiopia still, you know, run all this stuff. And Ethiopia actually was a product of the program that I was. Oh, nice. She was she did Yes to Jobs too. Yeah. So, you know, just I get it, man. I used to always hear about that too. Artists still get very little respect. We forget that it's the music business, not the business music. Like, right. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you said you got into the business side to help your artist career, right? In the sense of to learn.
That was the idea.
So, but did being an artist help you in the business side?
Not until later.
How you mean?
Like now, right? Like, I started working with Rocky when I was 36. So everything that I had been through as an artist up until then helped fuel what I was doing with Rocky. You know, we were always into fashion. We had songs like Designer Music and always trying to create this fucking intersection between fashion and music. And like, we couldn't really succeed in doing certain things because maybe it wasn't that time yet. Okay. But having gone to Magic for 17 years and being an artist that was getting clothes for free and new motherfuckers and all that shit actually was an advantage when I started working at a different level. Maybe not with Exhibit, maybe not with Strong Arm Steady, maybe not with DJ Khalil, like, but at a certain point, like, all those experiences, and I think that's just life in general, like, everything that I went through as an artist was actually what, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be able to work with Rocky in the capacity that, you know, that I do. You know? Just, you know, I had to, the path that he talks about coming from Harlem to Soho and wearing, you know, all that shit, that's, you know, I had the same fucking, people called me a yo because I used to wear fucking Timberlands and shorts. I'm from LA, like, you know what I'm saying? It was unheard of, like, similar type shit. So I think all those experiences, and, you know, we're the gangster of the West Coast. We didn't fucking make any music with hand claps and, you know, we don't really sound like a traditional West Coast group. So we always were kind of over here, like, you know, they don't mention us amongst the corrupts and the dog pounds and shit because of that. You know, even amongst the freestyle fellowships and that shit, because our music was a little bit more like gangstar, more boom bap shit, like, yeah, straight up. So I don't know what the question was, but yeah, I think I answered this shit.
I don't know either, but it was a good answer.
Yeah.
So was there a moment when you decided to stop being an artist?
No, you don't ever stop. You don't ever stop being an artist. You know, I don't put out music as often, but I'm still an artist. Okay. Shit, I still paint. I still make clothes. Yeah. I still design my stores. I still write rhymes every now and then. Yep, I'm still an artist.
Yeah, I think so.
Just don't get no attention for it nowadays.
but obviously the focus shifted.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
I understand you'll always be an artist.
Yeah, no, the focus shifted 100% heavily with A$AP Rocky. Rocky, you know, working with Rocky took over my life in 2010, 2011. Yeah. You know, that's just the truth. Yeah. It was an opportunity, and then.
But it sounds like that was more something that just kind of happened. It just kind of evolved. It wasn't like you decided, like.
Right. It wasn't like a, you know, I was trying to pursue that or anything. It's the natural course of my life.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, went that way and actually, made history with the brothers.
Yeah. So what's I know you said having been an artist enabled you to kind of really thrive in that role. Mm-hmm. Can you think of a specific example of where you brought that experience of having been an artist to that situation?
Oh, man. I would say the first 3 years of Rocky's career is probably what was the most valuable. The first time you go to Europe, the first time you're doing your own tour, rehearsing for the first time for your actual tour, like I know what all that's like. I've had to go to Europe on my own dime. I've had to pay for my own rehearsal spaces and shit like that. So just, getting that, the development, the initial marketing, like and shit like that was, all that shit was instrumental because at that level you're an underground artist and
Mm-hmm.
trying to get known, and it's about how you position yourself. And because of my relationships also as an artist, people take my phone call a little different probably too.
Sure.
I have my appeal to most people is on an artistic level, on a friendship level. It's not from an opportunistic, maybe now that,
right.
Some people are like, oh shit, this thing I might be calling about Playboy Cardi, A$AP Rocky or fucking something, But before, just in general, people, I have a respect as an artist, at a certain level. They know we have a certain taste level, when I call people, it doesn't really sit as a business opportunity right away. It's more about the music. Mm-hmm. So I think all that kind of really helped. And really, in the first 3 to 4 years, developing years of Rocky's career. Yeah.
So when you think about this role as manager, what's your favorite thing about it?
I don't know if I have a favorite thing about it, playing about the role as manager, right? I like to think of myself as less of a manager. More, me and Rocky are actually we're partners.
Okay.
In this brand called AUG. At this point, Rocky's got a team of motherfuckers, right?
Sure.
So it's more about and I've always been really good, even when I first started working with Rocky and Yams, about amplifying, with them, my role was never to be the creator necessarily. Mm-hmm. I'm creative in general, so I approach things creatively, but it was really about taking what they had created and helping to amplify it based upon the examples that I've seen. Yeah. We've seen a lot of collectives in hip hop. I've been fortunate to be close to some of them, and see how they operate and see the mistakes that they made as a collective and shit. We all have, right? So I think, that perspective is what really helps with with Rocky and Yams early too.
Did you recognize with those guys, obviously you've known many talented artists along the way.
Yeah.
As we talked about, some more successful than others. And talent and success don't always go hand in hand, right?
Right.
When you met Rocky and those guys and started working with them, did you realize what they had, what you guys had right away, or did that sort of become evident over time?
I knew a Rocky once I heard this song called Toast to the God. It's sort of like a Puffy remix or some shit. Mm-hmm. I knew once I heard that, I can't front, I used to fuck with Calendar. You know Calendar? Mm-mm. Calendar is a really good friend of Rocky, had for a long time. And he was working with them, trying to help them get a deal and shit before Rocky had dropped Peso and Purple Swag. He came down to the store and Prohibit. And I remember we were arguing because I'm from LA. And, and I was just fucking with him. I don't even know if I meant this shit, but he was like, A$AP. I was like, A$AP. I was like, man, our future, motherfucker, our future. I remember we had this argument. It was just funny, but I was just arguing with him at first.
Yeah.
It was he played the video for me. It was a song called Get High. And it was Ferg and Rocky. Ferg was wearing a Carhartt vest and some shit like that, looking straight out of a Melly Mel video. And Rocky had a straight perm. I was like, these niggas is from New York? I was so confused because like culturally, they, you know, visually, they did not look like what I knew in New York. Here I am, a West Coast motherfucker that loves New York. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, this ain't what where are the Timberlands in this shit? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I really see that there, but so I didn't get it at first right away. You know what I mean? That song was dope as shit, and it was interesting to me because Rocky didn't even rhyme on the song. He sang. You know, Ferg really did the rap. So I was talking shit to Calendar, but at the same time, I was like, oh, that shit is kind of dope. And then Rocky just, you know, it's the first time you see Snoop. You know, like, it's a certain charisma. You'd be like, what the fuck is this? Where is this nigga coming from? Like, Rocky was the same type of thing. Yeah. But I probably wasn't convinced that I really wanted to work with him until I heard, because, you know, it seemed like it was stylized, you know what I'm saying? And as a fan of shit, I'm a fan of shit that has probably more substance than style. And when I first saw it, it felt stylized to me. The thing that convinced me that he had substance as well, and I was like, oh no, I gotta work with this motherfucker, was after Toast to the Gods. I was like, oh shit, if he got all that style and all that shit and he put substance with it too, oh yeah, it's not too many kids like that. It's not too many artists like that, period. So I think that's when I recognized it. But it was at Prohibit at my store in the Lower East Side, just kind of sitting behind the counter, listening to I'd already met the brothers and been talking shit, but then I listened to this Toast to the God freestyle. I was like, whoa. It's something about whips and chains. It's some line. I tell them that all the time. I was like, you know, that's the line that made me want to fuck with you, like for real. Like, that line was crazy. Yeah.
That's amazing. So talk about Prohibit for a minute, because I know, you know, I think most people, like, they get the opportunity to be part of a store, you know, like they might throw a little money in, say that they're, you know, but they're probably not sitting in the store meeting people when they walk in.
No, but that's my thing. I'm addicted to retail.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm addicted to retail. I like creating experiences of, you know, I just get into this shit, you know. It's something about having a physical location for people to come, right, and experience something. It's just, you know, I think it's fucked up, right? Because there's so many things that we complain about America, but at its core, our greatest export is culture, or what we like to deem culture. And I kind of hate that word, but the word culture. And one of the biggest cultures that we have is consumer culture. The thing that, you know, for some people, shopping is therapy, going out, and even if you're not buying something, being in a retail environment where the lights are different, they got glitter on the fucking ribbon thing that's sitting, you know, all that shit is visually stimulating. It kind of, you know, when you think about things, when you're in a state of poverty and you think about the things that you want, you know, the smells, the feeling, the sight of actually, you know, being in a store and experience are the things that you kind of tugs on your emotional chain, like, oh, fuck, you know, can you connect that to your child or your loved one that you can't, like, oh, fuck, I want to be able to do it. But it's really about, and it's a psychological warfare in some ways when you can't do that, because then the experience becomes a thing that torments you. But it's also the thing that kind of fuels you, you know, and as a consumer, you know what I'm saying? And we're all consumers, no matter how much we want to. So I like creating experiences, particularly when they have, like, when the details are dialed into, like, nuances that either only you know about the creator or the creator knows about you. Like, you know what I mean? So that shit is cool to me. So Prohibit, I sat there because the first place that I went ever outside of America was Japan in 1995.
Oh, wow.
Before, something like that.
That's way back.
Yeah. And the first time I went, Utaka. Gotta say what's up to DJ Utaka, my brother, who the first person.
Played my first club.
Utaka's a legend and a Zulu king from Japan. If it wasn't for him, I'd have never went to Japan. I went there with him for the first time, and he introduced me to Harajuku and Roppongi and just Kyoto and just, I mean, all of Japan. And I just been in love with the shit ever since then. But if it wasn't for him, I would have never went. It's my relationship to him, with him, and his appreciation for the self-scientific. That's why we started getting a sort of international audience, because we started doing stuff in Japan and shit like that. But, yeah. So
how do you... So your newest endeavor is Harun Coffee.
My newest, Harun Coffee is the newest endeavor.
Okay.
I started that because, like, you know, I've been working with Rocky for 8 years.
Yeah.
Probably in an effort to stay just fresh in my own mind, right? And wanting to do, and that's funny because I kind of told him this yesterday too. I was like, man, I just wanted to do something that was like, that wasn't attached to anybody else. You know, Aaron Chace Johnson is my full government name. Harun is Aaron in Arabic. So Harun is my name. You know, because you know that Aaron is a Hebrew name, and
it's my grandfather's name.
The Hebrew name, Levine, would be your grandfather's name. He was actually the first priest of the tribe of Levi,
right?
And Moses' brother. Moses had a speech impediment after burning his tongue, and Aaron received Moses received the commandments from God, but Aaron actually communicated them to the people when Moses was marching the tribe across the Sahara. Yeah, because Moses was he had a speech impediment, and Aaron was what they describe as a brilliant orator. So it means, Harun means my name, and it's a multicultural platform. I mean, it's a cultural platform that multifaceted rather in the Leimert Park area, the Crenshaw district, Leimert Park. Leimert Park is the historically artsy or cultural area of West Central Los Angeles. For many people that don't know, Watts is the motherland when it comes to Black people in Los Angeles. That's where masses of us kind of migrated and settled at post-Jim Crow laws in Los Angeles. It wasn't until 1948 that a person of color was able to really lived east of Hobart or west of Hobart. The case, I think, was Shelley versus Roe in 1948. I believe, you got to look it up, but I think it was Shelley versus in 1948 when some of the housing laws were overturned. So Leimert Park was a neighborhood that was built by the Walter H. Leimert Company. They kind of prohibited Black people from being there until unless you were a butler or a slave, until 1948. Some of those laws were overturned. Black people didn't really start moving in there until right through Watts riots. What they call white flight from the Leimert Park, and he became predominantly Black and known for the art galleries and socio-political identity of the inhabitants and people there. So it's pretty much like that today. Some of that fabric is still there, but you have a large contingency of people that are gentrifying the fuck out of the neighborhood. Of course. Some of that's negative, some of that's positive, mostly negative. I put a coffee shop, I bought a home there and put a coffee shop there really out of necessity, seeing that, we walk my son and shit like that, and the only places we had to drink coffee or get a cup of coffee or tea or anything were Starbucks or 7-Eleven, McDonald's, and Krispy Kreme within like a 1.2 mile radius. Yeah. So I mean, obviously I saw an opportunity, but then I realized as well that there's no central point for communication. Like if you got somewhere that's being rapidly gentrified, most of the time you get a coffee shop or somewhere that pops up that represents that gentrification. And I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be an example of a business that can have the look and feel of what they would deem a progressive establishment, but still be fueled by the people that actually care about the community. So we get a lot of, it's weird because I don't do a lot of press and shit like that. So people come in there and expect it to be a white owner because of the way it looks. Funny. And shit like that. And they're like, what is this? Where are the Black people? And they see me and go, oh, you guys are gentrifiers. And they see me and they go, oh. So it's I mean, I saw something on your Instagram with like some dude who's like, obviously didn't know what he was talking about. He doesn't know. He has no idea. Which is, that's what social media is for, I laugh at it because if anybody knows me, right? Like if anybody knows me, it's like fuck out of here. Like it's almost like the opposite, right? If I'm guilty of anything in this industry, it's been probably wearing my emotions on my sleeve and over representing like my people, like And I mean in this industry, in life, just in general, like, like, you know what I'm saying? So that shit is funny, but we do get some of that because it looks nice and it looks like, I guess if, you know, and it sounds weird to even say it, right? But I guess it looks like a place that would be owned by white people. Which is the weirdest shit ever. I argue about this shit all the time. Like, what does that fucking mean? Because there's white walls, motherfucker. I don't get it. I don't get it. But I go through that shit all the time. But you know, it's just a platform to build art, culture, and connectivity in the community. Period. That's it.
That's amazing.
We do art shows every 2 months or so. Right now, you got a kid named Glenn Marrero. I'm not a kid, a young brother named Glenn Marrero that I've been knowing for a long time. He was a graphic designer and artist, and he's got a brilliant narrative. His stuff is up now. We got coffee, teas, donuts, smoothies. The food of gentrification, avocado toast.
I mean, you have to have avocado toast.
I mean, if you're going to be, that's like the fucking bridge between the old bad neighborhoods and the new neighborhoods, I guess. I'm just playing. No, but we got, and we have clothes. So what I did was I separated, because I've always had stores. So one side is a store and a gallery, art gallery, and another side is the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Come down, 4336 Degnan Boulevard in Leimert Park, California.
Love it.
Harun Coffee.
I mean, you sort of answered this already, but how does your experience in business and entertainment and music, what did you learn that you brought to this business now?
The coffee?
Yeah.
How to market, you know, how to make something, how to find a community and make something known or relevant within that community, and then grow it from there. That's a tactic that I think we all learned from music, right? You're applying that with your podcast.
Sure.
That's why I'm here. Like, you're like, oh, fuck, Chace. I know Chace. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Same shit. Like, you learn how to build communities. You learn how to disseminate messages. You learn how to position something. That's really what I learned.
Yeah.
You know, I learned that really more so from self-scientific, from anything, because we didn't have any resources and we had to find a way to make ourselves known within certain communities.
Yeah. So
that we could perform and make money, because we didn't sell records. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, look, you know, hip hop at one point, especially, you know, anything that wasn't super mainstream has always been DIY.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like, so we had to have like the snowboarders or the fucking skateboard community be into our shit. You know, the independent fashion kids, because we had to go to you know, Magic and all that shit.
Yeah.
Before it was like a huge thing. We were always performing at those things because we had fans in those audiences. We always were on the snowboard shits on ESPN. Remember, she do those compilation things and all that shit. We were always like a group on there. You know what I mean? Because and we just constantly went to those communities because they responded. And I pretty much apply the same tactic or idea when, you know, marketing shit socially, or create a marketing plan for a new project. You kind of you try to build or create communities and then bring everybody else to the party around that. It's like, I guess it's like another version of fear missing out. That shit is true. I just try to create a scenario where people are always looking over the fence. So, do some real shit.
That's great. Where hip hop's at now, with it being so commercial, is that DIY energy? Do you still see that?
Oh yeah, more than ever.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. That's what labels don't do. No artist development. Labels ain't doing shit. So yeah, if it was not for DIY, you don't know about it most of the time. Real shit. All this shit is, you know, started by itself, and then that's pretty much the system now, right? It's a farming system. You kind of see it, you analyze, but you see even further now, you don't analyze, you get the analytics like a lot of this time.
Right.
And then you try to amplify whatever you see out there that actually has a spike or that's moving. That's what a lot of these A&R guys are, because people don't even actually discover artists based upon what they like anymore. It's like, it doesn't have an algorithm.
Right.
So, them days is, it's over. But I have a different philosophy. I think, the more and more that shit becomes popular, the more and more people actually like traditional shit. 3 years ago, we started doing snipes and billboards and fucking bus benches and stencils and shit, like, with this campaign called August, just because nobody did it. Yeah. And when you see it now, you're like, oh, now it's so overdone. When you see it, you're like, fuck, people still doing that shit? Because now everybody started doing it. But when we first did it, it was like, oh shit. Because you remember that. There's an emotional connection. You have an emotional connection in poster boards right now. Somebody did poster boards and hit a whole fucking telephone pole right now, all down La Brea. You go, oh, fuck. Of course. You would take pictures of that. And you probably don't take pictures of much shit. You would be like, oh, fuck. I remember back in the day, AZ. Remember the AZ stickers? And you would go in there and they'd be like, what are you talking about, you old fuck? And people go back like, oh, shit, they actually did that. It becomes something like, but if you don't know that's something that people have emotional connection, then you don't know how to draw or make that a viral moment, or to make that, you have to go, oh shit, poster board.
We just did that. We just did a sticker campaign in
but 3 years later, everybody's doing this shit now, and people are inundated.
Of course.
Now it's like,
of course, because we got a call from a client about it because now they see it, and it's, people only.
You know what they said Rocky did? He did this whole cool thing. Like, you're like, nigga.
Right.
Anyway.
And then, that's the game, right? It's like,
it's the game.
People go, people need to feel comfortable.
For sure.
Having seen somebody else do it.
For sure, but that's what I get a kick out of, trying to find the next thing for motherfuckers to call you about in 2 months. You're like, oh my God, did you see this shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I come up for the next, that's what I get a kick out of. That's what keeps me up smoking until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
Right.
Okay, I have to get to a lightning round before I let you get out of here.
Okay, cool. Because I definitely got to get out of here.
What's your favorite city to travel to?
Japan. And, I'm sorry. City.
City.
Tokyo and, what's on the west coast of fucking, of Australia. Oh my God. It's fucking killing me right now. Perth. I love Perth.
Oh, I've never been. No one's ever mentioned Perth to me.
That's why I love it. Because niggas don't go. Have you been? It's amazing.
Really?
It's so just peaceful and quiet and leave me the fuck alone.
Nice.
Yep. Perth.
Who's your favorite DJ?
That's fucked up.
We saved that one for a second.
Who's my favorite DJ of all time? Damn, I'm gonna piss some of the homies off.
You can pick more than one.
Can I pick scenarios?
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing a club?
Okay.
If I'm doing a club from my era, it's either Kid Capri or Clark Kent.
Okay.
It's just me. I'm doing a club, right? Then J-Rock is really good. Like J-Rock's record selection is ridiculous. Like for a party for me, like you come and Chace Infinite's party, is most likely a nigga like J-Rock, just because his selection of records, like, it's the shit I want to hear all night. And then like on some, technical DJ shit, like as an instrument, like a turntablist. Rest in peace, man. Rock Raider, man. Rock Raider. Hubert, probably. I mean, but probably the best DJ. I'm from the West Coast, so the best DJs in the world, man, from right here to me. Philadelphia and here. Philadelphia and here. Jazzy Jeff might be my favorite, like, all-around DJ. Only because he, you know what? I gotta say that. Only because he represents every facet.
Yeah.
Jeff, like for real, Jeff might be the best DJ ever. Arguably the best DJ ever.
I agree.
Yeah, because it's nothing that he hasn't like been really, really, yeah, I'm gonna say that. I talked my way through it. Fuck it. And nobody can be mad. Nobody's gonna be mad at that. Jazzy Jeff.
No, it's hard to argue with that.
Is the illest DJ. He's the purest.
What's the last great book you read?
The Quran.
I've heard of it.
That was corny, but it is. I literally read passages this morning. You know, you're supposed to open it and just read. I read passages this morning, so I can actually say that.
Okay.
But the actual last great book that I actually read is The History of the Black Peace Stone Nation.
Okay.
Yeah. Good book.
What movie have you seen the most in your life?
It's a tie between The Wiz and Coming to America.
You saw they're making a sequel now.
Yeah.
Eddie's going to be in it.
Yeah.
I know.
I've been knowing about that for a minute, too. We'll see.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying, I don't know who's the new director. They attach somebody new to it?
Yeah.
It's been through a couple.
It's it's somebody that's hot right now. I forget who it is.
What's up? I don't want to see anybody ruin that movie, though.
No, man.
I hope they don't ruin it.
This is a great movie.
It was.
Tell me one decision that changed your life forever.
Moving to New York for the second time.
So complete this sentence. I don't have talent. I have blank.
I don't have talent. I have gifts.
Okay. If I worked for you, what's something I would hear you say over and over?
You know what we should do?
I like that.
That's something.
Ideas. Who would you be most excited to learn appreciates your work?
To him. I don't know. Sheikh Hamza Ali or Imam Siraj Wahaj. Like if they heard my work and were pleased by it, that'd be dope. Because, I don't think my work is intended to necessarily impress pious people, but if it did, I would be impressed.
Nice. How's everybody find you other than on
Hit me up at Chace Infinite on Instagram.com. And I guess at Chace_Infinite. I think that's my moniker, something like that. And at Harun Coffee.
Yeah.
For sure.
How often are you there?
At Harun?
Yeah.
I'm there, on my way there now.
Nice.
Somebody's coming to meet me there, like literally now.
Oh, okay.
I got like 4 people coming to meet me.
Nice.
It's like I got an office upstairs. People come there and chill out, People from out of town get a chance to say they came to the hood. In the hood with Chace Infinite.
Of course. Yeah. That's good. You need that.
You do.
Validate people.
I do the same shit when I go to their hood.
Get your ticket validated.
That's right. That's right.
I love it. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys for having me.
Yeah, that was Chace Infinite on Rebel Radio. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. If you did, go ahead and leave us a review on iTunes. Shoot us your little 5 stars. And you can always hit us with a comment on Twitter or Facebook. It's at Rebel Radio Net. You can check out videos from a lot of our episodes on our YouTube page at Rebel Radio Net. Most importantly, come back next week for more Rebel Radio.